Yeah.
great.
So talk to Grace. Hi, Marcia. Talked to Grace Bush in August, and she had said that for the Rancheria, their plans did get approved, so that's confirmed. And then in August, September, they were getting together their or not grant, rather, their request for proposals to bid out their construction project. They would be doing that through the month of October, where they would receive those proposals, and then November is making a decision on those proposals. So that would help them understand what the total cost of their construction project will be. So if they know what the total cost is going to be, then they know specifically how much money they need. This has been the same for the last 2 years. The kind of the question marks with regard to their funding still remain: how much are they getting in a PG&E settlement, insurance dollars, and then I don't know this for certain, but there was some talk of like some FEMA money that they've been holding on to, or that they will receive once this build is underway. So if you take those three different funding streams, add them together, that might be more than enough for them to do their build. It might not be. But Grace did indicate that if they feel that they have all the money they need from those three other sources, or three or more, then they will not need the $900,000 grant, 600 from North Valley Community Foundation and 300 from the DFC. So meaning that even if they, if they get the funding that they need, and then just to boot, they're like, oh, well, cool, we've got a $900,000 loan at 0% with an indefinite terms of, when we need to repay it, then that's not something that they'd still take on, though. Like if they have the money to pay for it outright from themselves, then they will, and then they'll just let us know that they do not need that loan at all. So that's encouraging, because that might happen sooner. Like we might know about that within the next couple months, right? Because for a while it was discussed that that would be like the last money in, and that they wouldn't know. But if organizationally they can make that decision right up front because they know what their finances are going to be, then great.
Why would they like not take the money?
They might not take the money because if let's say they receive from those three other places that I said, let's say they get $25 million from PG&E, right? And their build is $16 million. So they just don't need it.
Sure. Right.
That would be why.
Yeah. Is there any way that 900K, if they don't need it, like I really need some financing for the project here, and is there any way that somehow we could make this into more of a community thing and somehow roll it into that?
I mean, that's like a whole nother thing.
Sure.
Again, like the reason that it was the Rancheria, it was just because it's a public health facility.
Sure.
Not a private enterprise of a store and a hotel. You know what I'm saying? That like when the profit comes in for the Crescent Country Hotel and the Crescent Country store, it goes to Matt Fogarty.
Right? I mean, it could go to repaying this loan if there was a loan or something like that.
Yeah, I got it. But again, since as a public, this is public money that's not. The DFC is not a bank, and
Sure.
this was these were heightened circumstances going to a public agency as opposed to Matt Fogarty, a private person.
Sure.
That's the difference. Again, I don't want to. I can't tell you that it can't happen, but from what I've understood about this entire process, going to a private person for their own monetary benefit has been something that we've been trying not to do this entire time.
Sure.
Let's see. Greg just texted. He's coming. But that's what I would say generally, Matt. But that's not to say that. I mean, I've been like combing the internet for other places that had some type of community investment fund that had used community dollars in a way to provide low interest loans And I haven't found anything that actually replicates like what you're talking about.
Okay.
There was one, the Morgan Fire in Colorado. Um, there was a group there that did set up a community investment fund for housing. But that had a lot of other like fiduciary partners in it that like offset the cost for mortgage lending.
Right.
But it wasn't specifically for-profit businesses.
Hmm.
And that always seems to come down to be the rub, right? And I'm not, but that's just what I've looked into. That doesn't mean that it's like all exhaustive, right? Like
Sure.
sometimes you don't know what you don't know with this stuff. So,
Right.
um, um, so anyway, that, but if indeed North Valley Community Foundation um, received their $600,000 back that they've basically put guardrails on, and then the DFC 300, that's $900,000 that could be like available for other community projects.
Sure.
So that's one thing. Give me one second. I'm trying to see if um, anybody else is coming. Um, oh, there's Greg. Okay, great. Um, the let's see, let me write this down. So I've got Lida, Shelby, Matt, Marcia, and Greg. That's five. I think we need one more. It's I contacted Dax. Um, but to that point though, Matt, right now there aren't any like thus far we've not received any large grant proposals that would be like that we can't fund because we don't have the money right now.
Right.
So there isn't anybody out there that's saying like, well, gosh, we'd like to apply for $500,000 if you had it.
Right.
Um,
I've been working with Clint and Mickey on a job creation, job funding proposal. We put
uh-huh.
in front of the Chamber of Commerce for 250, and they're thinking about that.
Yeah,
So, so maybe there could be. I mean, but we've only got 35K left, so there's not much there. But
right.
that could be one thing.
Yeah, and like the chamber works a little bit differently, and this is something to talk to like a tax attorney or somebody that specializes. But the chamber is a mutual benefit organization as a 501(c)(6), so they have different like tax exempt requirements than say North Valley Community Foundation does. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know what all those different pieces are. Uh,
Hmm.
but I know that there is a difference. It would definitely be something to consider. Um, I just texted Dax just to see if he's around because at least if we have a quorum, then we can talk about approving the agenda and last month's minutes. Um,
Did Kaylee already tell you he wasn't going to be able to come?
I talked to Kaylee last week and he said it was going to be hard, but I'll double check.
Hey, Matt, that was a nice article in the Plymouth Sun.
Oh, about the opening party stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoyed reading that
Thanks.
and seeing the pictures.
Right.
What band did you get, Matt?
We're still actually booking the band, so it's still TBD. Like everyone's pretty
All right.
booked up. Yeah. So I think something Ramblers, but I'm not sure.
All right.
Dax is unable to make it. Um,
Lida, have the Maidu started to work on the trees?
They can't really start till they can get a burn permit,
Oh,
and that hasn't happened.
does it have to be later in the season because of fire danger or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're not issuing burn permits yet,
Oh, okay.
anywhere as far as I know. And I don't, we had this great 2 weeks of kind of rain and fog and damp,
Yeah.
and then it was shooting back up in the 80s this week. I mean, as you know, so um, we'll just keep our fingers crossed. But people are so excited about this, just the idea of it, as well as actually making something happen in the valley finally. So got my fingers crossed that it doesn't snow before they can get up there.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone.
Um, Still waiting to hear specifically back from Kaylee. Um, yeah, I mean, that's fine. If we, we're unable to approve the minutes or whatnot this week, that's how we can roll 'em over. Again, I apologize for the late notice. I completely forgot what day it was last week, and I just completely missed it. I had it like on my list of things to do towards the end of the week, and then I got wrapped up, and I thought about it last night, and I was like, oh my God, tomorrow. I kept on thinking, I was like, oh, I've got the steering committee meeting on Monday, and then I it hit me that I hadn't set out the agenda, so.
okay.
That didn't help anybody else plan, so I apologize for that.
Did the Legion apply for a grant for the acoustics?
They have not. No, we haven't had any new grant requests since we last met.
All right.
So
And we don't have any progress on the doing anything with the campground.
no progress on there yet. I am trying to meet with the Forest Service just to understand their process. We were going to try to get something together last week, and that didn't work out because of some of the schedules. I've been trying to link up with Charles at the CSD, and we've had plans to make plans. I don't know even that that's necessary. It was just going to be kind of a nice to have to be able to talk about the water and waste infrastructure that's
Yeah.
already there. I
Sure.
think we can move forward. It's clear that the water's there, and then if there was something that needs to be done sewer wise or septic wise, I mean, my sense is if this becomes a project, a general contractor will figure all that stuff out, right? I mean, that's part of the scope of work. So,
Mhm.
but what I was more concerned about is just understanding from the Forest Service perspective, like what is it that they need to get something like this moving, and then how does it work with them being a federal agency? How does it work to contract do they have to approve the contracts, and can they solicit for proposals, or does that have to be a third party, or is it better to have it as a third? I just don't know. So that's one
Yeah,
of the things.
what I remember from our conversation is they'd rather have a third party do it than them
Yeah.
going through the whole process. That it would take forever. So,
Yes, which is good.
but yeah,
I'd like to know what landmines exist in that, just before. Um,
of course,
yeah,
yeah.
well, just because
I'm sure there are
it's
some.
like you just don't want to go down a path, and then it's like, oh, well, you didn't do this, and we need to have this, form
Yeah,
filled in first, and all this other stuff. So I just want to get smart on that, and then just see, just start doing it. Um, just try to create a little bit of action on it.
Yeah, yeah, I still think it's a worthy idea. I don't know whether it's going to materialize or not, but
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea. I think it really helps, and I think the fact that they being the Forest Service was enthusiastic about it. That's another good one. I mean, having
yeah,
a willing partner, boy, that sure does help. So,
yeah.
um, so that's all right. Um, well, even though we haven't, maybe we won't cover the minutes, but that's okay. The community meeting this Saturday. So this will be the first one we've had since June.
Oh, that's right.
And both Kevin Goss and Tracy Ferguson have committed to come. So I was Tracy already has a number of items that she'd like to just communicate of where the county is on some of its recovery planning efforts. So I thought that was good. I don't really know what they are yet. I'm going to follow up with her this week, tomorrow and Wednesday, just to kind of get her notes so it can be incorporated into the brief. And then I'd asked Kevin about coming and then just kind of sharing where the supervisors are on they've done some strategic workshops over the last 2 months. So if any insight he could provide on that, because that was sort of what Supervisor Hall was talking about in terms of the process for how they wanted to move forward with some of the fire recovery money, whether it be the $7.8 million they received from PG&E, or any of the other, grants that they have out there. And so it's coupled with what some of the stuff that Tracy's doing, but some of it is still, it's just kind of curious, like what direction they want to go in, when they talk about the facilities that they had in Greenville and or anything else that they want to contribute to. So that's one. Those are the things that I think Kevin and Tracy will be talking about on Saturday. Um, you could just give me one. Okay, thanks for that. So yeah, the campground, the community meeting, um, and then yeah, just kind of playing it by ear after that point of just if there are updates. I was going to talk to Tracy a little bit about that for the county, that they have, community engagement items and things that they would like to, hold meetings for, that potentially that if they've hired or if they're on the verge of hiring that long-term recovery coordinator at the county level, that person could definitely do that, and then have a regular sort of meeting cycle with the Dixie Fire Burn Scar area, to communicate what the county's working on. So that was a recommendation I plan on making to Kevin and Tracy on how to move forward with that. So we talked a little bit about it in the August meeting, is that we've got roughly $35,000 of grant funding left. That takes into account the money that's sort of got some guardrails around it from the Greenville Rancheria. Greg, we were just talking about that. Matt had asked about if that money comes back to both North Valley Community Foundation of the DFC, if that's something that like, his group or him, if he could apply for, if we were going to loan that to the Rancheria, could we be in a position to loan that to Matt? And my understanding is that the reason that it was working for the Rancheria is that that was a public health agency, right? And that since it afforded, and it seemed like at that time, and I was even here at the front end, but I kind of came into it as the grant was becoming approved, was that the Rancheria thought that money was going to be used sooner than later so they could get their build going. And here we are 2 years later. And because the Rancheria, one of the attributes is that the Rancheria, 80% of their clientele are non-native personnel. So they provide a huge medical resource, and especially since they're adding a pharmacy to it, and with only one pharmacy being in Quincy, the health benefits seem to curry a lot of favor. But here we are still waiting between the medical, dental, and pharmacy, and those things are still plan on happening. They just haven't yet. So, but what I was sharing with Matt is like, I don't, like the difference between like a public health clinic and then a for-profit business, there is a difference there. And I just don't know what that would look like to be able to for that $900,000 coming back. I definitely know that North Valley Community Foundation wouldn't consider it, but the $300,000 that the DFC has, shepherded by North Valley Community Foundation. I just don't know what the legal parameters of being able to roll that out time and time again as a 0% loan to businesses and individuals, what that would look like, or even if it's even possible. Matt, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, the idea could be for like an emergency response center. So there wasn't much in the area, like when all the shit hit the fan. We did actually use the hotel as like a basically like a thrift store of emergency stuff for supplies and that kind of stuff. And
Yeah, resource center.
Exactly. It could be somewhere where the community has first dibs, that if the shit hits the fan again, then the hotel could be, instead of the hotel being booked out for weddings and whatever, it'll be booked out for like community stuff. It's kind of like an emergency center. I know that there was like a $10 million thing that we were going to go for an emergency center.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So that you're 100%. I didn't mean to interrupt, but yes.
Right.
So like if you were saying that like during a disaster or an emergency, the Crescent Hotel is now used for public benefit.
Exactly. That would be the idea. And with the other 95% of the time, it's like a pub serving the community and a restaurant and bedrooms and all the rest of it. But if the shit hits the fan, then the whole lot could be dedicated to helping the fire department, the health department, whatever their plans, or kind of being given to some responsible party. And then it would be a resource that's being maintained by us with this deal that, hey, if shit hits the fan, boom, you've got it for 3 months or whatever. Whatever the period of the emergency. In that way, like serve both sides, be a resource, especially related to fire and disaster kind of stuff, preparedness and that kind of stuff, earthquakes, whatever, in terms of having resources on hand for the community as well, that kind of place, as well as like serving the community with the services and getting the job done. Anyway, just an idea.
Yeah. No, that's actually like having a facilities that the original like the idea behind those community resilience centers is exactly that, right? That
exactly that. Yeah.
They can pivot in time of need.
And we've got diesel backup, we've got solar, we've got a lot of the things that would come with a community emergency center. So we've got a lot of the things that if there was and we needed like 10 beds because like shit hit the fan or whatever, then we have a lot of that could be pretty valuable.
So the Office of Emergency Services here at the county is Travis Goings and Lori Peeney.
Okay.
And I know Lori is trying to develop a database of disaster prepared locations.
Okay.
So it's often viewed in general as like for evacuation. Like if one community is hit by disaster, where can others go to evacuate to?
Sure.
Right.
Right.
And then yeah, temporary lodging is a characteristic of some of these locations. So Quincy is often looked at because of it has 3 or 4 motels, which are usually open, right? But even getting on Lori's list of places and demonstrating it as kind of like on the supply, like that here is another supply of 10 to 12 beds in Plumas County that could be used under those heightened circumstances. It's definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
But and if you don't have her contact, Matt, I can put you in contact. I've got her email address.
That'd be great.
So I'll email that to you. But I will say that I did talk to one group the other day. This wouldn't be like a large grant request, and they're in the opening stages of developing really what their need is. But I spoke with Kimberly Hunter and Mary Shiro
Fire cats.
from the Greenville Fire Cats. Yeah, so they recently received their 501c3 designation from the IRS. And then they're working on the other components of their standing in the state of California for their nonprofit for what would be called the Greenville Fire Cats nonprofit. And they are trying to develop a budget that would help them with their next trap, spay and neuter iteration. And then they also have a shelter going. And so they have some basic needs from that, an actual shelter for the shelter. So they have cat and kitten enclosures right now, but then where those sit, actually having like a kind of like a carport structure that would go over those. And then the various supplies, food and litter and other things that they need. The other component that they would be seeking funding for is they have an account over at Ralston's right now that they say that people just kind of donate to help with these spay and neuter sessions that they do quarterly, it sounds like, or twice a year. So they kind of build up some funds, and then that project is done there at the vet's office, and then they will care for the cats or kittens after the fact, what have you. So anyway, they've not yet applied for anything. It sounds like they intend to, and they're working on a budget to do so. It didn't sound like we're not talking like $50,000, right? It sounded like we're talking like 10 to 15,000 if they do submit a grant request. So it sounds like some of you are already familiar with their organization. But that's what they're working on.
Yeah.
I have not I've not heard of any others thus far. Greg, you asked a question last time about the money that we had that the steering committee had approved to the Almanar Foundation for some of the housing components. So I did look at the exhibit, and so one of the things that the Almanar Foundation needs to do is they need to provide an update. So I asked them about the update. To their point, since things are in flux, and I think I talked a little bit about this in August, so the program shifting from really an Almanar Foundation spearheaded project to a Plumas Rural Services spearheaded project, right? Because PRS has stepped up to be the champion of this rent or build to rent housing project. So there seems to be
Wasn't it a stay like I thought they were trying to get like Airbnbs to lower their rates so that they could basically have a workforce affordable housing,
so
not built.
yeah, that's one of it. So that's an update that we still need, is that's the lease to locals. So that one, this was the one that, so Plumas Rural Services will be the primary I don't know, manager, I guess is the right word to say. So let's back up the story here a little bit.
So that was Tyler and RRA's project, the 500,000?
Correct. And then so that project is still in existence. The original, will provide as much detail as possible, but also to make it as understandable as possible. So the original concept was that Sierra Pacific Industries would be the primary investor into that.
Mhm.
And then Sierra SPI said, we don't want to invest in that because it's not where we want our workforce to be. Even though they, concede that people that live in Greenville do travel to the mill, they have Greenville employees. They wanted to do something in Quincy because they already own, I think they already own land in Quincy. So they didn't want to have to worry about land possession elsewhere
Yeah.
if they already have it in Quincy. So then the next thing became this idea behind, so the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, the CDBG-DR money that was supposed to go to single family reconstruction. So there's two components of that, the single family reconstruction and then the defensible space and home hardening mitigation grant. The home hardening grant actually went really well, and there was a wait list for that. There still is a wait list for that. And that was potentially $50,000 to $75,000 for the home hardening. All right, that's countywide. The CDBG-DR single family reconstruction is also countywide, but it was focused on the burn scar area. Now, at this point, I think from housing and community development, there's only 10 homes, maybe, that are in the pre-construction phase where they had planned for 20. So it's half of what they had planned to do with that money. So
Right.
HCD is working with PRS and Housing and Urban Development at the federal level to take the remainder of that grant money that HCD had for single family reconstruction. They're writing an amendment to HUD, which they seem positive about, that they can repurpose that money to go into this construction for it's 40 units on 20 different sites. So it would be two rentals per site on 20 different sites. Jesus, excuse me. Yes, 20 sites times 2 is 40. So 40 units that RRA would build and PRS would manage. So PRS would be the champion of the project, or is, and their PRS board has approved that. And the money that would come through the grant is about $9 million. The total construction cost is about $12 million. So now they have this delta, right? So they can more than likely make up that gap through a loan from Plymouth Bank. So they would get a loan for $3 million over 40 years at 7.25%, something like that. And they feel that they can do that. However, like anybody else, they would prefer not to. If they could get some of that, the rest of the remaining project cost donated. So it's my understanding that they're working with all the other entities that have been interested from the Housing Council perspective of having more housing for their employees, namely Plymouth District Hospital, Feather River College, Seneca Healthcare, Collins Pine, SPI, so on. So what I just described to you needs to be confirmed. And so I reached out to PRS and the Amador Foundation to have a meeting with them this week to figure out where that is and if that's indeed the case. Because the way that the grant exhibit worked, when you all approved the money for the Amador Foundation in December of last year, the Amador Foundation had a year essentially to use that money, or it comes back. So they got 3 months to make that. So just so you know, that money isn't with the Amador Foundation yet. It still is technically in our account, and it's been identified as a voucher, so that if indeed Amador Foundation is not able to do anything with it, it's not like they have to write a check back to North Valley Community Foundation or somebody else to remit that money back. It just basically, the ones and zeros change in the system to be held back with the DFC.
How much is that again?
So that's, how much is it, Matt?
Yeah.
I believe it's $405,000.
So they got 3 months to.
They've got till December 25th to have a plan for that money. So they've got They've got 3 months.
So originally that was supposed to go as like, we've got this money in the bank, and so we can get started and to show people that they had it and bring other investors in. Is the almond or is the does PRS, is they're going to use that for administrative money to write grants? Because I remember when they came and they said, "Oh, well, we got 130 people that we got to process for the California Recover grant or
No,
Recover
that
California
was
grant."
no, that was the money for the that's the money that PRS was approved for the uh, disaster case management.
For the disaster case managers who had 130 people they said to process, which was like BS, you know what I mean? And we have like 10 grants, that got
Well,
approved, and it
I
was
don't think
all,
it was BS.
and we duplicated free services.
I don't think it was BS. I think that they shifted from the single family reconstruction to the wait list that came out of the home hardening. I think more people opted for the home hardening than they did single family reconstruction. And when it got down to the 10, I mean, there were a number of people that started in the hopper. I think they got into the 60s of people for the single family reconstruction. It's just that people walked away from it because of to be honest, because it was really hard. And what they had to do, some people weren't, there was a lien that was going to be placed on the home. So they had to stay in the home for, I can't remember, it was like 5 or 10
Right.
years.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people like once they got into it, they got to like step 17 and then they're like, well, I don't want to do this anymore, you know? So there was a lot of problems with it. And I tried to convey that feedback back to housing community development, especially with regard to the system itself. The interface was very challenging to work on. I mean, I went to a 4-hour training for it and I could use it, right? But that's because I went to a 4-hour training for it. Right? That means that like the average person who didn't go to that 4-hour training, they were gonna have problems with it. You know? So
Yeah. I mean,
there's a lot of problems with that program in and of itself. Yeah.
yeah, I think there was a lot of demands on it, requirements from it that made it unattractive, but yeah, I just feel like, like I said at the time, I filled out the application by myself, waiting for breakfast to be delivered. And, they had people online for free. It was a phone call to walk you through experts who were able to get here's your birth certificate, here's your da 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 da. And it was just a lot of money for services that were otherwise available for nothing. So,
Well, I mean, I would disagree. I respectfully disagree because I've helped probably 7 or 8 people do it, and
mhm.
I think it's been very challenging. I think, and there's no way I would be able to do it in 20 minutes because in some cases it took me weeks to help somebody.
Well, to get all the paperwork, yes. To fill out the form, no. To get the paper, and that's what I say is there's people
Well, so
online.
so I don't know what form you filled out, Greg, but the ones that I was met with it was over 39 different modules in order to do. And each module is not one page. So it wasn't a form, it was multiple forms.
Okay.
But maybe we're talking about 2 different things.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, so anyway, meeting with Plymouth Rural Services and the Almanor Foundation in order to determine what the next, like really where does this thing go from here? And other than it being, it sounds like it's more than a concept. And that's what I got out of the last housing council meeting is like, the individual that's responsible for it from housing community development, he was on to talk about it and what they're doing in order to make this work with PRS. But I think it'd be nice to have that defined somehow in some sort of like document or something. And then it also begs the question, what happens to that money with the Almanor Foundation? Because if it's not really the Almanor Foundation that's doing it, then I think we could make the case that maybe they shouldn't get the money in the first place. Because it doesn't make sense it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense for it to go to the Almanor Foundation for then to go to Plymouth Rural Services. But if that's the fact, if that's what's happening, that would be a change. And then I think it'd be the best thing is to bring it back to the steering committee for review of what those changes are, and then have another discussion and or vote on what happens next. Because once again, the scope of the project has changed, or at least the financing for it has changed significantly. So
Yeah,
hopefully,
I mean, champions of it, if anything.
say again.
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, the people who are going to get the money, everything, the whole thing's changed. Other
Yeah,
than it's still involved in housing.
yeah.
So, all right, Christmas comes, right? And they still haven't formulated a reasonable plan, right? Let's make that assumption,
Yep.
right? Then we've got how much? 400 grand coming back?
$405,000 that would come back.
Okay, and we want to be, do we want to be like loosey goosey on this? If they're like, oh, give us a few more, give us another year to make up a plan, or do we want to like have it back and like make some new decisions about
Well,
whatever?
over to you all. I would recommend is like after the meeting that I have on Thursday, or Wednesday or Thursday, whenever it ends up
All
being,
right.
is that I'll brief that to y'all in the beginning of October of what those
Uh-huh.
next steps are. And then, theoretically, we wouldn't get to that point because there'd be a way to go one way or another before Christmas before 3 months from now, right? But I would say that, I mean, my recommendation is that if they've had a year for it, that was that's what it was. So I don't know if being loosey-goosey, to use your words, Matt, by giving them another month and another month and another month, if that's going to yield anything,
Sure.
or have a preparatory meeting now and say, hey, you have 3 months to make good on the initial agreement. That's
I
not
mean, like if we take it back, say Christmas, it's still not clear what they're doing, right? Whatever, we take it back. Like if they come to us with a good proposal, then then they can do it again, right? But then
I would say I don't want to say one way or the other. I think it'd be
sure.
better to have some more information on it, Matt, and
Right,
then
yeah,
and
let's
then
see.
make that determination so hopefully sometime in October between the two regularly scheduled steering committee. Like I think there will be enough information by then to really know what direction to go.
And were they supposed, as part of their pitch, I'm not sure if this is what we're talking about, but there was one where they're going to be like, yeah, we'll get a little bit of money from you, then we'll get all this money from these other people, then we'll have enough to start. And there was an implicit stuff that they were going to get, not just, they weren't just going to start with ours, it was going to be as part of a larger funding thing. Was that
Correct.
part of that? Okay, but so we're looking for them not just to have a plan, but actually have other partners who are putting other money in.
Yep. And like all those places that I just mentioned, like SPI, Collins, Seneca, PDH, FRC, every single one of them has every month said that housing's a problem in Plymouth
Sure.
County. And every single one of them thus far have not contributed any sort of finance. Like, and that's what I told somebody else. It's like if the DFC were to put, $405,000 to this, if that's the direction they want to go in, that's once again another public entity like a nonprofit that's doing it. And these other places that keep saying that this is a problem and they want it fixed. They keep saying it's a problem and they want it fixed, but they're not contributing financially to it.
Sure.
So,
Right.
well, like, why should anyone else then? If they keep saying that they need housing for their employees, this is a way to do it. It's not the way. I don't know what the way is, but there's been so many of these things that like through iteration, you have to develop something, right? And if somebody has a perfect plan out there, that's great, but it has yet to materialize. This is it's a good plan. It's fine. I mean, it uses 75% of this is public dollars from the federal government to build housing
Sure.
For people that can afford it, right? It's not overly priced, right? It's not like for people that won't be able to rent, like it won't be so it's well within the cost of living for most of our county.
Mhm.
So it's like that's a pretty good start. But anyway, more to follow on that. That's why I was bringing it up so that you guys could start thinking about it now. And then, if that money comes back, it comes back,
Patrick, can you? I sent you an email with the draft of the kind of job creation plan thing that we
Yeah,
discussed with the Chamber of Commerce. Can you share it with the screen? Just
sure.
We're not pitching now for money yet because there's a couple of edits we're making to it, and anyway, but we have to go through forms on your end, on the DFC end. But basically, this is what it looks like. Just zoom in as much as you can.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
basically, it's raising 250 grand for a fund to be
Sorry,
managed. All right.
I just lost it. Where'd I go?
Nice shit.
That was me. Hey, give me 1 second.
All right.
Got too many things open. Where did it go? There it is. Indian Valley Job Creation Grant Program.
Yeah.
All right, I got it now. Here we go. Get this up in lights. All right, I think most
There we
folks can see that. Was that better?
Yeah.
All
So-
right. So the
Yeah,
plan's
go ahead.
250K and use 10% for admin and have the Indian Valley Innovation Hub administrate this grant. So that makes 225K for job grants. So the idea is to create, to fund new jobs at private companies. 7,500 bucks per full-time equivalent. It's not on here, but there'd be a maximum of 5 per company that the program would fund. And it's paid out 2,500 bucks on hire, 2,500 bucks after 1 month, and 2,500 bucks after 6 months. So with the idea of trying to get it to for some retention, be managed by the Indian Valley Innovation Hub. There'd be a committee on there managing that. That's basically the idea. And then who can apply? So you need some level of paperwork. So we want to avoid fraud. So we've got grant does not go for owners or family members' jobs. So you can't hire your brother, or if you're the owner, you can't hire. It's not for the owner job. It's for people outside of that, just to avoid. So to have like net new jobs like that. You need workers' comp because that's just to be a legal employee. You need workers' comp, an EDD number, and EIN anyway. So we just put that there just to make sure that they're like legitimate company that's creating these jobs. And then W-2 employees, not independent contractors. Indian Valley Innovation Hub will manage the applications, and then the job statistics be provided quarterly to the funding organizations. So there again is the budget. So 225, 30 job grants at 7,500 per grant, and then 10% admin. There isn't any breakdown in terms of the admin 25K. I just did 10%. But it would be run through Clint's the Innovation Hub partner non-profit thing, and they've already got the little sub account for that. So that's it. The chamber was interested in funding some of it, and then DFC could fit in with DFC. I mean, we got 35K left, so maybe 35K could go to that. That'd be whatever, 5 jobs, 4 jobs, whatever, you know. So
Again, I think the big outliers, even if it's, I think sooner than later we would hear back from. I know I keep saying this, but with the Rancheria, right? If they know sooner than later, like within the next month or two, about whether or not they need $300,000, that creates a lot of more clarity around some of these larger grant requests.
Can you put a deadline on it? Can you actually give them a time limit?
It's over to you all. We've not thus far. 2 months or 2 years ago, there was no time limit that was placed on it, other than I think there was a discussion about that the money that they needed to use from the DFC would be sort of last in, right? So if they were getting to the bottom of the barrel, and it was like, gosh, we need that $1.2 million to get us across the line here. Would be real nice. But and I think, Greg, you may have missed this part when I was talking at the beginning, is that there were the Rancheria is putting their job out for bid in October. And then once they receive those bids back in November, I think is their timeline that they're shooting for, then they'll have a better idea of how much money the cost of construction will be for them. So having like a concrete dollar amount for what they need to spend, and then also a little bit more certainty maybe on where they're getting their money from in the first place, whether it be PG&E, insurance, and FEMA. If they know what that total is, then they might be able to just come back to us and say, hey, thank you for the offer, we don't need it. And then that changes things significantly.
Yeah.
So,
And they still don't have a timeline on either the insurance or the PG&E settlement.
not that I'm aware of. They very well might, but not that I've heard. No.
Yeah.
So
I mean, a deadline could be the end of the year if they get in the bids in October, then that gives them like 2 months to think about it.
yeah, and I mean, and maybe that's, we could talk about that with the rest of the team in October at their next meeting, which would be on October 1st, or I'm sorry, October 1st, October 6th. Looks like that's the first Monday of October. So, we talk to the rest of the team and see what everybody feels about that. Just to get a little bit more fidelity.
I'm on the phone.
Yeah, so those are some of the bigger things going on right now. Any questions about anything? Okay. Yeah, Greg, did you have something?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay. So the community meeting is this Saturday at 11 o'clock at the library. And then I know, Matt, your grand opening, congratulations. It's a lot of hard work to get to the point for the Crescent store. So that's going to be on Saturday from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So right there. And Matt, I don't know. So I had a point of contact with Caltrans that I was talking to about something else. And I'd asked about the sidewalks in Crescent Mills, and if sidewalks were going in, if that implied that crosswalks were also going in. And the response that I got back was that yes, incorporated into that project is a planned crosswalk at the intersection of Clark Street or Carter Street rather, and Highway 89.
It's weird because I spoke to the guy out there today who's doing all the striping, and he said it's not on the plan.
He said
So
it's not in the plan?
Yeah, it's not in the plan, but maybe he just wasn't seeing the right plan. I mean, I'm glad that it's still in the plan because we got so much work in Crescent Mills.
A gentleman, I can give you this guy's point. I mean, you might know him already, Matt, because I'd asked about the traffic, the speed limit signs.
No, it's sure.
Yeah.
And the response I got back was that they no longer fund those, Caltrans.
Okay, right, sure.
Say again?
Yeah, they don't want to fund it.
Yeah.
The county might be able to fund it. I mean, it's like 13 grand. I don't know.
Yeah. Let me see. The response I asked about the sidewalks though, and a gentleman by the name of John Newton Jr.
Oh yeah, I know John Milton. Yeah.
Okay, so he said a crosswalk at Carter Street is included in the plans for the current project. New signs and roadway markings are being what is it? New signs and roadway markings are currently being installed.
Right. Okay, well that's good news that he thinks it's still in there. That's good.
Yeah, and he is the permits field engineer and inspector.
Yeah, I know John Yalton. Yeah.
Okay. So that's, according to him, he thinks it's going to happen, so,
Good.
believe it when you see it, huh?
Well, I've been talking to I pitched Kevin and I pitched Tracy on like a Crescent Mills downtown improvement plan.
Yeah,
A couple of little parks and new pavement, some new pavement and the crosswalk and whatever, the speed cameras and the welcome signs and all that stuff. So they were quite positive about that. And
yeah.
actually, DFC, I can pitch DFC next time as well on the.
I think so. I think you did share that with us at the last meeting.
Okay, right.
However,
Yeah.
By all means, share it again and refresh everyone's memory.
I mean, maybe it's just a opportunity to ask for a grant for some of that stuff. I don't know if it's the parks department's interested in funding the little parklets. So I don't know, parts already funded, but it depends on what's happening with the funding, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, by all means, that's what I was asking, if you wanted to do that on Saturday, but not realizing that you were had your grand opening.
Sure, grand opening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But by all means, keep briefing it and generate some excitement around it, and
You're welcome to pitch it. I mean, it's a presentation ready to go.
yeah. So if you want to send it to me,
Yeah,
then I will pitch it on Saturday, and just make sure people have you as a point of contact if they have questions.
actually, let's not, because I haven't spoken to the owners about potentially buying these parks from them. So I don't want to upset anyone. So anyway, let's not do it on the public thing. We'll do it
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Whenever you're ready, no problem. All right. It kind of unofficially, officially, we'll just go around the horn. If anybody else has anything to share, Lyda, do you have anything you'd like to share with the team?
No, I mean, other than we're just waiting for burn permits in order to go ahead with our project.
Great. Greg, do you have anything?
Nope. I'm good.
Okay, Marcia?
Just that, Julian said that he can't meet on the 2nd, and so we should meet on the 9th.
Yeah, I saw, yeah. I think that should work out fine. So this, we're meeting, with Julian Howell and, Joy and Hugh Brown to talk on the 9th of November about the, Firewise community in this part of Greenville over here. So we're meeting with
The 9th of November.
Yeah, this is, just internal, it's a Sunday, just
yeah.
internal, for the communities of Williams Valley Road and Pex Valley Road to talk about, the plan of action for the Firewise community in that part of Greenville.
Okay.
So, yeah, cool. Matt, do you have anything else that you'd like to share with the team?
No, everything's going great.
Okay. Do you need anything, and do you need any help for Saturday? Do you need anything?
No, we'll be fine. We're good. Just come.
Just come. Okay. That sounds good. And you said you got a band? You're working on a band right now?
Yeah, we're working on a band. We're going to have a barbecue outside, like free barbecue, and then we've got just tour the showing off inside, some coffee and sandwiches and whatever we've got in the store.
That sounds great. Well, it's a fun time to welcome everybody. I know it's been a long road for you. So just being able to, get it ready for this time of year, and a lot of people coming to Lisa's store across the street in preparation for the holidays, like starting November, December. It's good that you'll be open around that time, and it'll really, help with Crescent Mills overall. So congratulations. Shelby, anything for the team?
No, all good.
Okay. Well, so this was really just kind of like a casual discussion. Never really had, didn't approve August 18th minutes. That's okay. I'll put that on the agenda for October 6th. And we have Saturday's meeting, and then I'll maybe see folks there. And then, of course, Matt's grand opening takes precedence. So hopefully you see more folks at the Crescent Store grand opening. And thank you all for taking time this afternoon to at least get on and bubble up with where we are on a few things and just get updated. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Have a good day.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye all.